The voicemail played again, Lisa's words slicing through my kitchen like a serrated knife. I left her at your house. I just can't deal with her anymore. She's your problem now. The timestamp read 4:47 p.m. It was now 5:15. My hands shook as I grabbed my car keys, knocking over the mixing bowl I'd been using for Emily's birthday cupcakes. Pink batter splattered across the floor, but I didn't stop to clean it. I'm Zoe, and this was the moment my sister finally crossed a line I couldn't ignore. The 15-minute drive home felt like an eternity. Every red light was a personal assault. Every slow driver, a conspiracy against me. My mind raced with possibilities, each worse than the last. How long had Olivia been sitting there alone? What if she'd wandered off? I screeched into my driveway, tires crunching over gravel. There she was, my 7-year-old niece, perched on the front steps like a forgotten package. Her stuffed giraffe, the one I'd given her last Christmas, clutched tight against her chest. Olivia. I called out, stumbling from the car. She looked up, her face tear-streaked but eerily calm. Like she'd expected this. Like she'd been waiting for something like this to happen. Hi, Aunt Zoe, she said softly. Mom said you'd come home eventually. The casual cruelty of it hit me like a physical blow. I pulled her into my arms, feeling her small body trembling despite the warm spring air. How long have you been here, sweetheart? Since after school. Mom said she had to take Dylan to his soccer tournament. Her voice was matter-of-fact, but her fingers dug into my sweater. She said it was really important. Of course. Dylan's soccer tournament. Everything was always about Dylan. My phone buzzed. Mark's name flashed on the screen. Zoe? Emily's dance class is done. Want me to pick up dinner on the way home? Mark, I struggled to keep my voice steady. Lisa left Olivia here. Alone. 4 hours. The silence on the other end crackled with tension. She did what? She just dropped her off. Left her on the porch. Didn't even wait to see if anyone was home. My free hand clenched into a fist. She left a voicemail saying she can't deal with her anymore. Jesus Christ. Mark's voice hardened. Is Olivia okay? I looked down at my niece, who was now examining a ladybug crawling across the porch railing with forced concentration. Physically, yes. But Mark. This is it. This is the last straw. What are you thinking? I'm thinking my sister needs to learn that actions have consequences. The words came out cold and clear, surprising even me with their intensity. I'm thinking it's time someone showed her what it feels like to lose something precious. Zoe. Get pizza. Extra cheese. Olivia's staying with us tonight. I ended the call before he could respond. Come on, sweetie, I said, gentler now. Let's go inside. I was just making cupcakes for Emily's birthday. Want to help me start a new batch? Olivia's face lit up, then dimmed. Mom says I'm not good at baking. I mess things up. Your mother, I said, unlocking the front door, is wrong about a lot of things. As I watched Olivia carefully measuring flour into a bowl later that evening, her tongue poking out in concentration. My phone lit up with texts from Lisa. I ignored them all. Let her worry. Let her wonder. Let her feel a fraction of the uncertainty and fear she'd inflicted on her daughter. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. My sister had always been obsessed with maintaining her perfect image, her perfect life, her perfect son. Well, I was about to show her just how fragile perfection could be. I smiled at Olivia, helping her crack an egg without getting shells in the batter. Perfect, I told her. That was absolutely perfect. 3 days after abandoning Olivia on my doorstep, Lisa swept into our mother's house for Sunday dinner like nothing had happened. She wore her signature pearls and that practiced smile that made my stomach turn. "Olivia, darling," she cooed, arms outstretched. "Mommy missed you so much." Olivia, coloring quietly beside Emily at the coffee table, didn't look up. Her crayon moved in careful circles, staying perfectly within the lines. The silence stretched until Lisa's arms dropped, her smile tightening at the corners. "Well," Mother said from the kitchen doorway, wooden spoon in hand. "Isn't this lovely? The whole family together." I caught the edge in her voice. Mother had always been diplomatic, but even she couldn't completely mask her disapproval. Not this time. Tom trailed in behind Lisa, carrying a sleeping Dylan. "Soccer tournament wore him out," he explained, lowering the boy onto the couch. "But he scored the winning goal." "Of course he did," Lisa beamed. "He's so gifted." "We're looking at private coaching now, aren't we, honey?" I watched Olivia's crayon press harder against the paper. "Speaking of children's activities," I said, my voice cutting through the room like static, "Olivia's shown quite a talent for baking. She helped me make a perfect batch of cupcakes the other day." Lisa's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. "Oh, that's sweet. But really, Zoe, you shouldn't encourage her. She needs to focus on her studies. Her last report card was concerning." "Concerning?" I set down my wine glass before I could throw it. "She's 7, Lisa. And she's brilliant. You don't see her struggles like I do." Lisa's voice dropped to that patronizing whisper she used when she thought she was being diplomatic. "The teachers have suggested special arrangements." "Special arrangements?" Mother's spoon clattered against the counter. "What does that mean?" "There's this wonderful boarding school in Vermont." "Vermont?" The word exploded from my chest. "You're shipping her off to Vermont?" Dylan stirred on the couch, blinking awake. "Mom? What's happening?" "Nothing, sweetheart," Lisa rushed to smooth his hair. "Your aunt's just being dramatic. As usual." "Is this about Olivia?" Dylan sat up, suddenly alert. "You can't send her away. She's my sister." Lisa's face flushed. "Dylan, honey, this is adult conversation." "No," he insisted, voice rising. "You already make her sit alone in her room during my games. You forgot her at school twice last month. And now you want to send her away?" The room froze. Lisa's perfect mask cracked, just for a moment, before she recovered. "That's enough, Dylan. Go help your grandfather set the table." "I won't." His chin jutted out. "Olivia's not stupid. She's better at math than me. She helps me with my homework when you're not looking." I watched my sister's face cycle through shock, embarrassment, and anger. Her carefully constructed narrative was unraveling, and for once, she had no ready excuse. "Well," Mother said into the silence, "I think it's time we all sat down and had an honest conversation about what's best for this family. All of this family. There's nothing to discuss." Lisa grabbed her purse. "Dylan, we're leaving." "Tom?" But Tom didn't move. He stood by the window, studying the family photos on the wall. "Maybe we should stay," he said quietly. "Maybe we should listen." Lisa's pearls clicked against each other as she spun to face him. "Excuse me?" "I said we should stay." His voice grew stronger. "I'm tired of pretending, Lisa." "Aren't you tired?" The room held its breath. I watched my sister's perfect world tilt on its axis, watched her scramble to hold on to control. "Fine," she spat. "Stay. All of you just stay here and judge me. But I'm doing what's best for my children. Both of them." She stormed out, leaving behind the scent of expensive perfume and the weight of unspoken truths. Olivia finally looked up from her coloring book. Her eyes met mine across the room, and in them I saw something that broke my heart and strengthened my resolve: relief. Well, I said, picking up my wine glass again. I guess that's one way to start Sunday dinner. Mother sighed, turning back to her cooking. Zoe, dear? Pour me one too. Something tells me we're going to need it. The boarding school brochure sat on my kitchen counter like a loaded gun. Evergreen Academy for Exceptional Children, their website showed smiling kids in pressed uniforms, but the price tag told the real story. $60,000 a year to make Olivia disappear. I'd found it buried in Lisa's desk drawer while she was at Dylan's championship game. Tom had let me in, his eyes heavy with unspoken guilt. Just look in the bottom right drawer, he'd said before walking away. Now my hands shook as I scrolled through my phone, reading the email chain between Lisa and the school's admissions office. They'd already scheduled an interview. Next Tuesday. She was going to ship Olivia off without even telling us. The front door opened, and Mark's footsteps echoed through the house. Zoe? You won't believe what I just heard at the gym. Lisa's sending Olivia to Vermont. My voice sounded strange, distant. What? No, this is about. Wait, what did you say? I slid the brochure across the counter. Evergreen Academy. 4 states away. She's already paid the application fee. Mark picked up the glossy paper, his jaw tightening. Jesus. When were they planning to tell anyone? They weren't. I pulled up the emails on my phone. Listen to this. We understand your situation with Olivia requires discretion. Many of our families prefer to handle transitions quietly. Transitions? Mark's face darkened. She's not a problem to be solved. She's a child. My phone buzzed, Tom calling. I answered on speaker. Lisa knows you were here, he said without preamble. She found the drawer open. Good. The word came out sharp enough to cut. Let her know I know. You don't understand. She's moving up the timeline. She's calling the school right now, trying to get Olivia admitted immediately. The room tilted. Immediately? It's the middle of the school year. She says it's for the best. That everyone needs a fresh start. His voice cracked. I tried to stop her, but... But what, Tom? But you're too scared to stand up to her? But Dylan's game was more important? But... Because I'm weak. The words exploded through the speaker. Because I've always been weak, and Lisa knows it, and I let her. I let her. Mark grabbed my hand, squeezing hard. Tom, where is Olivia right now? At her piano lesson. The one Lisa doesn't know about. The one I've been paying for in secret because it makes her happy. My heart stopped. Piano lessons? Every Thursday. For 6 months now. She's really good, Zoe. Really good. But Lisa would never. He took a shaky breath. The instructor says she could be exceptional. Exceptional. The word from the brochure mocked me. All this time, Lisa had been looking for ways to fix her daughter, while Olivia had been quietly becoming extraordinary on her own. Text me the address, I said. I'm picking her up. Lisa will be furious. Good. I grabbed my keys. It's time she learned what fury feels like. Zoe, Mark caught my arm. What's your plan here? I thought about Olivia's careful coloring, always staying inside the lines. About Dylan defending his sister when the adults wouldn't. About Tom's secret acts of rebellion, too little and too late. I'm going to listen to my niece play the piano, I said. And then I'm going to burn my sister's perfect world to the ground. I'll help, Tom said quietly. Whatever you need. It's time someone did right by Olivia. As I headed for the door, my phone buzzed again. Lisa. Don't you dare interfere, she hissed when I answered. This is what's best for everyone. No, Lisa. This is what's easiest for you. But easy is over. I felt calm suddenly, ice cold and certain. You want to talk about what's best for everyone? Let's talk about how the country club would react to knowing you abandoned your daughter on a doorstep. Let's talk about what Dylan's soccer coach would say about your parenting priorities. Let's talk about. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. I hung up, started the car. Mark? Call mother. Tell her to expect company for dinner. And tell her to dust off the old piano in the living room. It's time for a family recital. Late that night, after Mother's impromptu piano recital had left everyone stunned by Olivia's talent, Mark and I sat at our kitchen table. 2 untouched glasses of wine between us, Emily's school schedule pinned under my hand, and a legal pad covered in scribbled logistics. We'd need to convert the home office, Mark said, rubbing his temples. Get her enrolled in Emily's school. Figure out morning routines, after-school pickup. I know it's a lot. My fingers traced the edge of Emily's schedule. But you saw her tonight. The way she played that piano. The way she finally smiled, really smiled. And then Lisa stormed out. Let her storm. She can't, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Mitchell? This is Patricia Walsh from Child Protective Services. The room tilted. Mark's head snapped up at my sharp intake of breath. I'm calling because we received an anonymous report expressing concerns about your home environment. Specifically regarding your daughter Emily's welfare. My grip tightened on the phone. Excuse me? The report suggests possible neglect due to your emotional instability and tendency toward family conflicts. We'll need to schedule a home visit. Lisa. Of course it was Lisa. She couldn't win fairly, so she'd try to destroy me instead. I understand, I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. When would you like to come by? Mark's eyes widened as I wrote down the details. The moment I hung up, he reached for my hand. Zoe. She's trying to take Emily. The words felt like glass in my throat. She's trying to make me choose. We'll fight this. We'll. Another buzz. Tom's number. Lisa's filing for emergency custody of Olivia, he said without preamble. She's claiming you're unstable, that you're trying to alienate Olivia from her family. She has character witnesses lined up, other soccer moms, her church friends. They'll all say whatever she wants. I thought of Emily upstairs, sleeping peacefully. Of Olivia, probably lying awake in her too-perfect bedroom, wondering if tonight's moment of triumph would cost her everything. Tom, I said carefully, why are you telling me this? A long pause. Because I found something else in that drawer. Medical records. Lisa's been. She's been medicating Olivia. Nothing serious, just enough to make her seem difficult. To justify sending her away. The wine glasses rattled as my hand slammed against the table. Mark grabbed them before they could spill. I have proof, Tom continued. Prescriptions from different doctors. Notes about dosages. I should have seen it sooner. Should have stopped it. You can stop it now. My voice didn't sound like my own. Help me protect her. If I do this, Dylan will never forgive her. Or me, for letting it happen so long. Sometimes the truth has to hurt before it can heal. Another pause. I'll email you everything. But Zoe? Be careful. Lisa. She's not thinking clearly anymore. This isn't just about Olivia now. It's about winning. After he hung up, Mark and I sat in silence, the weight of impossible choices pressing down on us. If we fight for Olivia, I finally said, we risk Emily. If we back down, we let Lisa win. Mark stood, pacing the kitchen. We let her hurt that little girl even more. What kind of mother would I be if I didn't protect my own daughter first? What kind of person would you be if you abandoned Olivia now? The question hung between us like smoke. Upstairs, a floorboard creaked. We both looked up to see Emily in her doorway, Olivia's stuffed giraffe clutched in her arms. Mom? Her voice was small but certain. Remember when you told me sometimes doing the right thing is scary? I nodded, unable to speak. I'm not scared. Not if it means helping Olivia. Mark's hand found my shoulder, squeezing gently. Well, he said, I guess that's 3 votes for fighting back. I reached for my phone, pulled up Lisa's number. It was time to show my sister that she wasn't the only one who knew how to play dirty. 4 votes, I corrected, hitting dial. Tom's evidence makes it unanimous. The supermarket parking lot wasn't where I'd planned to destroy my sister's reputation, but life rarely follows our careful scripts. I spotted Lisa chatting with her country club friends near the entrance, her perfect posture and practiced laugh carrying across the asphalt. My phone felt heavy in my pocket, Tom's evidence burning a hole through my conscience. One email forward to her entire social circle would reveal everything: the secret medications, the neglect, the lies. My finger hovered over the send button. Then I saw Olivia trailing behind the group, struggling with grocery bags too heavy for her small frame. None of the adults noticed when she stumbled. Need help with those, sweetheart? I called out, loud enough to make Lisa freeze mid-sentence. Aunt Zoe. Olivia's face lit up, then immediately dimmed as she glanced at her mother. Lisa's friends turned, their perfectly lined lips forming surprised O's. Zoe, Lisa said, her voice sharp as broken glass. What a surprise. Just picking up supplies for the school bake sale. I moved closer, watching Lisa's fingers twitch around her designer purse strap. Though I'm surprised to see Olivia out of school this morning. Doctor's appointment, Lisa said quickly. Really? Another one? I met her eyes. That's 3 this month, isn't it? The other women shifted uncomfortably. One of them, Sandra Peters, head of the PTA, frowned slightly. Olivia needs special care, Lisa said, reaching for her daughter's shoulder. Olivia flinched. The flinch didn't go unnoticed. Sandra's frown deepened. Special care, I repeated. Like the kind that comes in unmarked pill bottles from different doctors? Lisa's face went white. Ladies, would you excuse us? My sister and I need to. Actually, Sandra interrupted, I'd like to hear more about these doctor visits. Considering I saw Olivia at the park yesterday during school hours, looking perfectly healthy. The parking lot seemed to hold its breath. In that moment, I saw Lisa's carefully constructed world balanced on a knife's edge. One push would send it tumbling. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark, CPS just left. Everything's fine with Emily. Don't do anything rash. But I was already moving. Show them, Olivia, I said softly. Show them what you can really do. Olivia looked confused until I nodded toward the donation piano, sitting in the store's entrance. The one they wheeled out every holiday season for charity performances. I'm not supposed to, she whispered. You're not supposed to do a lot of things, I said. Like take pills that make you sleepy during school. Or sit alone in your room during Dylan's games. Or. That's enough. Lisa grabbed Olivia's arm. We're leaving. No. The word came from Olivia herself, small but clear. She pulled away from her mother and walked toward the piano. What happened next would be talked about in our town for months. A 7-year-old girl, surrounded by dropped grocery bags and stunned adults. Playing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata with the kind of skill that only comes from secret practice and raw talent. People gathered. Phones came out. Lisa stood frozen, watching her daughter transform from the burden she'd tried to medicate away into something extraordinary. When Olivia finished, the applause started. Sandra Peters wiped tears from her eyes. Lisa, she said, we need to talk about some concerns that have been raised about your involvement in the PTA. I didn't stay to watch Lisa's social world crumble. Instead, I walked over to Olivia, who was still sitting at the piano, her fingers trembling slightly. Ready to go home, sweetheart? She looked up at me, then at her mother, who was now surrounded by former friends wearing expressions of barely concealed horror. Can we get ice cream first? Of course. I took her hand, feeling its slight shake. And maybe we can talk about which room you'd like at our house. The one next to Emily's has great light for a piano. As we walked away, I deleted the unsent email. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about exposing secrets, it's about letting the truth play its own melody. Behind us, I heard Lisa's voice rise in desperate explanation, but it was drowned out by the whispers of her rapidly dispersing social circle. The sound of consequences finally catching up. Mother's dining room had never felt smaller than it did that evening, with our entire family gathered around the table like jurors at an execution. Lisa sat at one end, Tom at the other, both looking anywhere but at each other. Dylan kept his eyes fixed on his untouched plate, while Olivia pressed against my side, trembling slightly. We're here, Mother said, her voice cutting through the silence, because this family is breaking apart. And it stops today. Lisa's laugh was brittle as thin ice. Breaking apart? Because Zoe's trying to steal my daughter? Steal? The word tasted like poison. You left her on my porch. You've been drugging her. I've been trying to help her. Lisa slammed her hand on the table, making the china rattle. Everything I've done has been to make her better, to give her a chance at. At what? Dylan's voice cracked through the room like lightning. At being perfect? Like me? The silence that followed was deafening. Dylan, Lisa started, but he pushed back from the table. I found your pills in Olivia's cereal this morning. He pulled a small bottle from his pocket, tossing it across the table. It rolled to a stop in front of Mother, who picked it up with shaking hands. That's why I didn't go to practice today. That's why I called this meeting. My heart stopped. This hadn't been Mother's idea at all. You don't understand, Lisa whispered. The pressure, the expectations. I was trying to protect her. By making her sick? Dylan's voice rose. By making her seem stupid? I heard you on the phone with that boarding school. She'll need special accommodations. She has behavioral issues. All lies. I think, Tom said quietly, it's time we discussed custody arrangements. Lisa's head snapped up. What? I'm moving out. Taking the children with me. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. Unless. Unless what? Unless you agree to let Olivia live with Zoe. The room held its breath. I felt Olivia's fingers dig into my arm. You can't, Lisa said, but her voice had lost its edge. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. Tom stood. I've already spoken to a lawyer. One way or another, this ends tonight. I should have felt triumphant. This was what I'd wanted, Lisa cornered, exposed, defeated. But looking at my sister's face, I saw something crack behind her eyes, something fundamental and irreparable. Fine, she said, her voice hollow. Take them both. Take everything. She reached into her purse, pulled out a manila envelope. But first, read this. Mother opened the envelope, her face going pale. Medical records? Not Olivia's, Lisa said. Zoe's. From 10 years ago. The real reason she can't have more children. The real reason she's so desperate to take mine. The room spun. Those records were sealed. Private. My deepest shame laid bare on Mother's antique mahogany. Depression, Lisa continued, her voice gaining strength. Suicidal thoughts. Hospitalization. Are we really going to trust an unstable woman with a child? Stop, Mark said, but Lisa was relentless. What happens when it gets too hard? When the pressure becomes too much? Will you abandon Olivia like you abandoned? Enough. Mother's voice cracked like a whip. But the damage was done. Olivia had pulled away from me, her eyes wide with fear. Dylan looked sick. Tom wouldn't meet my gaze. I'm not. My voice failed. That was different. I was different. Were you? Lisa stood, gathering her perfect posture around her like armor. Or are you just better at hiding it now? I felt the room closing in, felt the old darkness creeping at the edges of my vision. Everything I'd built, every step forward I'd taken, suddenly felt like a lie. Aunt Zoe? Olivia's small voice cut through the chaos in my head. Is it true? Will you leave me too? The question hung in the air like smoke, choking me with its weight. In trying to save Olivia, I'd given Lisa the perfect weapon to destroy us both. I looked at my family, at Mark's concern, Mother's sorrow, Dylan's confusion, and Olivia's fear. I need some air. I fled the room, Lisa's triumphant smile burning into my back, leaving behind the shattered remains of both our families. Sometimes revenge doesn't just destroy your target. Sometimes it burns everything to the ground, including yourself. Mother's old piano sat in the corner of the living room, its dark wood reflecting the evening light. I'd been sitting on the front steps for what felt like hours when I heard its first tentative notes floating through the window. Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major. The piece I'd taught Olivia in secret during those quiet afternoons when Lisa thought she was acting out again. I stood, drawn back inside by the music. The family had moved to the living room, creating a tableau that stopped my breath. Olivia sat at the piano, her small fingers dancing across the keys with a confidence I'd never seen before. Emily stood beside her, turning pages. Dylan watched from the doorway, tears streaming down his face. Lisa stood frozen in the center of the room, her perfect mask cracking with each perfect note. She's been practicing for months, Tom said quietly. Every Thursday, when you thought she was in therapy. I don't. Lisa's voice faltered. I never knew. You never looked, I said from the doorway. Everyone turned except Olivia, who kept playing, lost in the music. You were so busy trying to fix her, you never saw who she already was. I was protecting her. Lisa's voice cracked. The world is cruel to people who are different, who don't fit in. I learned that watching you, Zoe. Watching you break apart when I lost my baby? The words didn't hurt anymore. That's the difference between us, Lisa. You see broken things that need fixing. I see people who need love. The music swelled, filling the spaces between our words. Love? Lisa laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. Love doesn't win soccer championships. Love doesn't get you into Ivy League schools. Love doesn't. Love got your daughter through every day you tried to dim her light, Mother interrupted, her voice steel-wrapped silk. Love brought Dylan here tonight to save his sister. Love kept Tom silent until he couldn't bear it anymore. The music stopped. Olivia turned on the bench, her eyes meeting mine across the room. I wrote something, she said softly. Will you listen? Without waiting for an answer, she began to play again. This time, the melody was different, simpler, raw, full of longing and hope and pain. A child's composition that spoke more truth than all our adult words. Lisa sank into a chair, her hands covering her face. I don't know how to fix this. Maybe, Dylan said, moving to stand beside his sister at the piano, you need to stop trying to fix everything. The boarding school application, Tom added. The medications. The therapy sessions that weren't therapy. It all stops now. Or what? Lisa's voice was small, defeated. Or you lose everything, I said. Not because I took it from you. but because you threw it away trying to build something perfect instead of loving something real. Olivia's song reached its finale, a series of notes that hung in the air like questions waiting to be answered. I want to stay with Aunt Zoe, she said into the silence. Not forever. Just until Mom remembers how to see me. Lisa looked up, mascara tracking down her cheeks. For the first time in years, I saw my sister instead of the polished facade she'd built. I see you now, she whispered. I'm so sorry, but I see you now. Sometimes, Mother said, taking Lisa's hand, we have to break apart to come back together stronger. Dylan sat next to Olivia on the piano bench. Play it again, he said. I think I hear a harmony in there. As the siblings began to play together, Lisa turned to me. I wanted to hurt you, she admitted. With those medical records. With everything. But I was only hurting myself, wasn't I? No, I said, watching Olivia teach Dylan the notes, watching Emily sway to their combined melody. You were hurting all of us. And now we all have to heal. Together? Lisa asked, and for a moment I heard the echo of my little sister, before perfection became her prison. Together, I agreed. But on their terms, not ours. The music filled the room again, no longer a weapon or a secret, but a bridge across the broken places in our family. Not perfect, but real. Not fixed, but healing. And sometimes, that's the sweetest revenge of all. The sound of piano music drifted through my kitchen window, Olivia teaching Dylan a new piece while Emily turned pages. 3 months of weekends at my house had turned into this, casual afternoons filled with music, laughter, and the smell of baking cookies. I wiped flour from my hands as the doorbell rang. Lisa stood on my porch, holding a familiar stuffed giraffe. Olivia left this at home, she said, the word catching in her throat. After therapy yesterday. Real therapy this time. Not the kind meant to hide her away. Come in, I said. They're practicing for the recital. Lisa hesitated at the threshold, as if crossing it might break something fragile. The Lisa I knew 3 months ago would have swept in, armed with criticism and perfectly rehearsed smiles. This Lisa moved like a ghost in her own life. In the living room, Dylan hit a wrong note. Instead of flinching, Olivia laughed. Like this, she demonstrated, her small fingers dancing across the keys. See? It's a story in music. Lisa pressed her hands together, watching her children create something beautiful from imperfection. The PTA meeting was today, she said quietly. Sandra Peters made a point of telling me about the music program funding. How important it is to nurture natural talent. Lisa. No, let me finish. She twisted her wedding ring, no longer perfectly centered. Tom moved back in last week. We're trying. But he made it clear, no more fixes. No more perfect facades. She smiled, bitter and real. Turns out revenge doesn't taste like I thought it would. This wasn't about revenge, I started, but stopped when I saw her expression. Wasn't it? Even a little? She placed the giraffe on my counter. You wanted to show me what a real mother looks like. Wanted me to feel as helpless as Olivia did. As helpless as you did, when the old pain flickered but didn't burn. Maybe at first. But revenge doesn't heal anything. Love does. The piano music shifted to something new, the piece Olivia had composed that night at Mother's. But different now, fuller. 3 sets of hands on the keys, creating harmony from chaos. Dylan dropped soccer, Lisa said suddenly. Did you know? Says he wants to focus on music instead. I let him. The admission hung between us like a bridge waiting to be crossed. There's room at the piano, I said. If you want to stay. She shook her head, but gently. Not today. Baby steps, right? That's what the family counselor says. As if on cue, Olivia's voice carried from the living room, "Mom? Is that you?" Lisa froze. 3 months ago, Olivia would have hidden at the sound of her mother's voice. 3 months ago, Lisa would have demanded perfection instead of connection. "Yes, sweetheart," she called back, her voice trembling. "I brought your giraffe. Come listen. Dylan this time. Olivia's teaching me her song." Emily added a new part. Lisa looked at me, questions swimming in her eyes. I nodded toward the living room. "Go. They're waiting." She moved toward the music, stopping at the doorway. "Zoe? Thank you. For showing me what I almost lost. For giving me a chance to find it again." I watched her join her children at the piano, watched her listen instead of direct, learn instead of teach. The revenge I'd wanted had transformed into something else, redemption, maybe. Or resurrection. Emily caught my eye from the piano bench, grinning as she scooted over to make room for her aunt. 4 sets of hands now, stumbling toward harmony. I turned back to my baking, letting their music fill my kitchen. The cookies might burn, the notes might falter, and our healing might take longer than we hoped. But perfection was never the point. Sometimes the sweetest victory isn't in destroying your enemy, but in showing them a better way to live. And sometimes, just sometimes, revenge transforms into forgiveness when you're not looking. I reached for the giraffe, straightening its crooked bow tie before heading back to my cookies. Behind me, the music played on, beautifully, imperfectly, free.